Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and pets alike, welcome back to 2021 Wild Rift Asia Brawl Group Stage, Day 3. Today, we got a lot more exciting matches. Somebody may say it's even more exciting than the day before. Some may argue differently, but it's all for you to decide. Today's matchup of CHAKAIMOOK versus AE Rift, Aether Rift, Berjaya Dragons versus Liab, Sea Serpent versus Killer Gaming. A lot of Sea favored teams. And the first game is already underway. Despite the fact I have a lot more I want to chat with our beautiful, handsome casters today, Xcontrol and D2. But I guess we're going to quickly jump into the first game band pick. We'll save the discussion until the game ends. So go ahead, take it away, guys.
Yeah, we tried to make them wait, but they couldn't hold it in any longer. They had to get going real quick. I am D2, by the way. I don't know if I was introduced. I'm with Xcontrol. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm on about 3 hours sleep because my child decided he didn't want to go to sleep last night. So if I am the grumpiest caster in the world, I apologize. But we've got some good Wild Rift going, so we'll be good. Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to hearing your child wailing into the ether, as it were.
I really hope he does not. That would be fantastic. Thanks, Rupert.
Oh my goodness. Well, we had the bands going into this draft were Lee Sin, Oriana Gragas, and Wukong. And as the audience can see on the screen, we have our full draft ready for us. And TJ asked me about the draft multiple times yesterday after it was already done, and it was just a wave of information. So I'm going to do the same thing to you. I'm going to pass it on. What do you think about the entire draft?
The entire draft. Well, I'm very, very surprised that Aether Rift, because we're watching Aether Rift's point of view, and I'm going to butcher this name, but CHAKAIMOOK.
Yeah, I go with
CHAKAIMOOK. They were.
Yeah,
we're just going to go with CHAKAIMOOK. I think they didn't pick Evelyn first, which is really interesting. I've always considered Evelyn a first pick ban in Wild Rift right now. There are ways you can counter Evelyn mid, but she is incredibly oppressive, and it also derails a lot of your game plans if you sort of don't end up banning Evelyn mid. So I'm a little bit concerned for CHAKAIMOOK in that sense because they don't have the Evelyn. Aurelion Sol's got good wave shove, but not a good level 1 wave shove. Evelyn will outshove Aurelion Sol at level 1, and so they're gonna have to play a very careful game. Looks like they're actually rotating their support to mid to counteract this. This is one thing that you can do with Evelyn mid. You just kind of bring your support level 1, and you can already see that's putting a bit of a spanner in the works here for Aether Rift.
Yeah, exactly. Shoutouts to our Kaisa for allowing us to see that. We are obviously on the CHAKAIMOOK POV, as you can see in the bottom left of our screen. To be easier for our viewers to see that out. And we do actually, okay, there was actually a kill onto the Aurelion Sol here. So First Blood does go over to the Aether Rift. I want to talk about, for a little bit here, the switch up in the lanes here, as we have the Camille up top Camille's in a normal lane, but we have Kaisa and potentially the support as well, joining her in this Baron lane, and then we have a 2v1 on the bottom in the Dragon lane.
Yeah, this is actually something that used to be incredibly common in League of Legends, but they actually patched it so that the equivalent of the Baron lane turret had extra resistances at the start of the game, meaning that you couldn't just make a lane swap happen because essentially everyone would do it all the time. In Wild Rift, there are no penalties for switching your bot lane up to the Baron lane. It looks like, though, they had enough of that, and they actually just want to go back down towards the Dragon lane, which is really interesting. My guess is that if they're not able to get a significant advantage by making the switch happen up to the Baron lane, then they want to make that switch happen because obviously you've got a Shyvana. You want to keep your bot lane on the side of the map where the Shyvana is able to get to that dragon and at least contest it for the first dragon of the game. Looks like they went for a tower dive, though, and actually got the kill, though, D2.
Yeah, I mean, we're unfortunately just looking at little dots on the mini map here, but seems like it's a 2-4-2 over on that top side lane, the Dragon lane, as it were. Still going on, actually. And thanks again for this, Camille, for giving us the POV at the last second there. Aurelion Sol being the last to go down, and we have a 4v2 in kills overall, and a 3v2 in that fight.
Yeah, it was actually crazy that they went for a tower dive because they made a late transition swap. I never understand what goes through teams' minds when they decide to initiate a lane swap, but then only to switch back just like a few seconds later. Because the only thing that you get by switching back is a loss in experience in gold to the enemy bot lane. And again, the only reason that I could think that would happen is because you have a Shyvana and you want your strong duo lane that needs to be there for a neutral objective take. You want them to be on the side of the map that the dragon is on because Shyvana needs to take that first dragon, or ideally any dragons. So that's the only reason I could think that they made that happen. But they did initiate the lane swap and swap back. So that's interesting to me.
I have a much simpler explanation, I think. I think they thought that Aether Rift was going to switch, and so they kind of just predicted that they would, and then they just went back like, oh, okay, never mind. So yeah. I think they just switched back when they realized that didn't happen. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, while we were talking, it looks like Aurelion Sol goes down once again, and that means it's a 5v2 for Aether Rift right now, looking very good for our Philippine team.
Yeah, and also when you've got an Evelyn mid and you're able to shut down an Aurelion Sol, like Aurelion Sol is a pick that actually has like beyond like the early levels, actually has a good kind of like, I guess, matchup into Evelyn, because you're able to make roams happen at a similar speed. Like you're able to use your, I don't even know what the skill's called, but your third ability, where you essentially like run across the map. You're able to follow Evelyn at a relatively quick pace, which is good because Evelyn's main strength is that she can roam from mid lane, especially post level 5, and just get around vision and go and impact the lanes as much as possible. So Aurelion Sol, as soon as he realizes that something's missing or he sees an Evelyn appear on the map, he can instantly reply. But the problem is when you fall this far behind, you're not going to have the same impact that the Evelyn has, which is going to be an issue.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that they tried to kind of counteract the the strength of the Evelyn early game by having the support rotate over, but looks like that just hasn't worked for them, and the Evelyn's kind of running rampant at the moment as we do have a fight gearing up here around this Drake. It looks like members of Aether Rift are coming in. Ult comes out from the Brawl, but he's going to be super low on health. The ult comes out from the Misfortune as well, and just so much damage coming onto the members of CHAKAIMOOK here. Everyone falling down. Only Evelyn has died for Aether Rift. Looks like it's going to be wait, I'm actually confused. Okay, it was a 4-4-1 in the end there in favor of Aether Rift. So yet another dominating team fight.
Yeah, that was an interesting play. Like, obviously with Shyvana, like, you gain bonuses by taking dragons. So when you have a Shyvana on your team, you want to be able to take a dragon. She takes them really quickly. You just jump in, do the dragon, and try and get out as quickly as possible. But they didn't have the vision control in the enemy jungle to say that was a safe play to make. Like, they didn't have any vision control in the blue side jungle. They had no idea where the majority of the Aether Rift members were. And you're playing into a team that already has taken massive advantages versus you. In sort of across the map. Like, they've already beaten you in skirmishes, they've already got a very fed Evelyn, they've already got a bot lane that has managed to dive yours and put your Kai'Sa behind. It was essentially a kind of a risky play. I guess they were hoping to sneak it because they saw some back timers and they were like, oh well, maybe these guys are back, they're not going to get back in time. But you know, you'd be surprised how easy it is to move across the map in Wild Rift early on. It's such a small map compared to PC, and so even if someone backs, they're going to be able to respond to an objective relatively quickly, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that we saw this with the team yesterday too. The more experienced team, or just the teams that, fared better, were the ones who always had vision, always were, kind of maybe poking at the dragon, but only doing it when it was safe, and usually kind of baiting it to the other team in a sense, right? When the other team was taking it unsafely, they would come in and try to punish that. And certainly there wasn't enough there to kind of sneak it. Perhaps they could have brought all 5, for something like that, but looks like there's going to be a dive onto this turret at the moment, and Akali is not long for this world. Ult coming out from the Camille to secure that kill, and it looks like Aether Rift is just leaning on CHAKAIMOOK, trying to further their advantage here.
Yeah, and I think the 4v1 tower dive versus Akali, easy to pull off as well. Akali's very slippery, but versus a Camille ultimate, she's confined to a certain area. So you just throw the ultimate on Akali, she can't escape, easy enough to get the kill on the tower dive. And that's allowed them to set up for the objective. This is very classic play from Aether Rift. You group up, you tower dive with the advantage that you've got, you're able to roam as a death squad. And then once you get that advantage on whichever side of the map that you go for the tower dive for, you take that neutral objective. So yeah, that was just an easy textbook play there for Aether Rift, and they're going to come away with the Rift Herald 2, which is going to allow them to again just probably drop that mid. I mean, that's like the best scenario, I would say. Dropping Rift Herald mid always works out the best in my opinion, because getting that mid lane tier 1 is like the ultimate goal in the early game. It allows you to expand into the enemy jungle much more safely. So that's what I would be hoping Aether Rift aim for. But again, it can also be used as this distraction for the next dragon. Like, you could drop it in the Baron lane and create some pressure there, which creates a push on one side of the map that's furthest away from the dragons. So they've got options to sort of play with when it comes to using that Rift Herald.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, they can do pretty much whatever they want with it. I kind of agree with you that dropping it mid would be very nice, not just because it's so nice to be able to control your enemy's jungle, but also because it's so easy for everyone to just rotate over, kill a tower, and then you're not really behind. You don't fall behind in your own lane per se. So everything usually ends up working out hunky-dory in that situation. They do drop it bot. We'll see what their aims are at the moment. Kind of really whatever they do, as long as they don't make any huge mistakes. It seems like they're fully in control of this game at the moment.
Yeah. Sorry, my son started like screaming at me through the door, so I quickly bounced over to just go and see if I could keep him calm while I'm casting. Yeah, dropping it in that lane is the most sensible in my opinion. I think because it creates the pressure away from the dragon, which you want to set up for. Obviously, dropping mid would be great if you had the opportunity, but I guess they just didn't feel confident enough to push onto that tower. But this now means that Akali has got to respond to the Rift Herald, and with dragon spawning in 3 seconds, it should be a good way to deny that second dragon from Shyvana.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we have a team fight brewing at the moment here. Aurelion Sol goes down without even any sort of resistance at all. Hexa comes out onto the Kai'Sa as well. She goes down fairly quickly. Another kill is in the books as well, and that is a 4-4-0. Let's see if anything can happen from this. Akali actually does get a kill onto the Camille. Not sure she can get any more. Oh, from the back comes the Misfortune. Sneaky play. Uses the GA, so she's going to be perfectly fine. That is an ace in return for only 1 kill on the other side.
Yeah, that seemed like a. So I was listening to you as I was trying to get Rupert sorted out. It was a pretty easy setup here. Again, Akali not being part of the fight. You've got great engage coming through from the Camille. Also with the Alistair, you have that ability to make the headbutt pulve combos happen. Yes, and okay, Akali got a kill back. Very good, but again, as you said, complete trade ace. They're going to be able to get that dragon, deny another dragon from Shyvana. And one of the things that really sucks as a Shyvana player, if you're running with a Shyvana on your team and you don't get hold of the dragons, you limit the power of that champion. Shyvana is so strong because she scales so incredibly well with these neutral objectives. She's got great objective control. And this time round, you're denying dragons from Shyvana. Not a great thing for her. She's going to struggle to scale up well in the game if you don't manage to get her any of these neutral objectives.
If you have any issues with your side, you could just yell from across the room, just like D2, keep going, just keep going, keep talking. Like I'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, who's also fine is Aether Rift, as they are pushing hard onto the bottom tower as they take this fight up here near the Baron. So much damage going on. Hard to tell what's going on, actually. In comes Aurelion Sol. Actually, huge damage from him. And this is a 2-for-1 in favor of CHAKAIMOOK for the time being. And they get even another kill onto the Olaf as well. Excuse me, the Olaf and then the Alistair. So that's a 3-for-1. They did have their bottom lane pushing, but not really any towers suffered there, so really good comeback started here from CHAKAIMOOK.
Yeah, it's one of the problems dealing with Aurelion Sol around objectives. He can get these huge stuns off. He's got great objective control with his stars around him. So it's one of the major issues that you're going to face dealing with Aurelion Sol in that way. It's just it's very, very risky to go for overextending objective plays if Aurelion Sol's in the game, and they were able to just capitalize on that really well. I don't know how much it gets them back into the game here. I think they're gonna have to make a couple more of those kind of plays happen, but unfortunately, it's not the kind of I think advantage that you want to be giving away if you're Aether Rift versus better teams. They might be able to use this and exploit it and try and go for something, but we'll see. I still think the Aether Rift composition functions better in a team fight overall. I mean, you just have the Alistair Misfortune combo. Misfortune is so strong because bullet time deals a ridiculous amount of damage. You've got another engage.
Yeah, exactly. Camille jumps in over the wall, gets the head stick down, and down goes the Brawl. That is a huge deal. You might think it's not that big of a deal because he's a support, but he is the one big beefy guy in the front that's keeping the rest of the team from getting jumped upon. I think there might be a Baron situation right here. We switch over to the Aether. They're going to try to take this, going to sneak in as quickly as possible, but in comes the Aurelion Sol. Can he get anything done? No, he's going to get chased away by the Camille. I think I'm going to finish off, and they do manage to take down the Baron. That is absolutely huge. Good timing on the smite there, the jump onto the Kai'Sa. She has a G, but or excuse me, GA. My letters are backwards. She does manage to get away, but that is a 3-4-0 and the Baron. So this game seems like it's on its last legs.
Yeah, Baron should be able to easily push down, take at least 2 turrets. They may even be able to get onto that inhibitor turret as well. And as you said, getting Brawl might not seem like a big deal, but versus a Misfortune, that's a really big deal because in team fights, Brawl is one of the few counters to Misfortune. That Unbreakable makes the bullet time really difficult to get a good hit, and obviously he can soak the majority of his damage for the team. So when you lose the Brawl, you lose the main way of preventing damage. Looks like Camille did manage to sneak out there. I thought she was going to get
very cheeky back. Even looking at her,
very cheeky back. I was clenching just a little bit, seeing the back location. I mean, but they have the Baron now. So exactly. but the Baron here is going to be good for split pushing. Camille, one of the few champions in the game that is so incredibly good at split pushing. And she's going to be able to utilize this to just push down on that inhibitor turret. And actually, if they're sensible, they may even just keep Camille pushing in this side lane, because with the dragon spawning, it is in, I think it's the Cloud Dragon. With the dragon spawning, obviously Shyvana and team are going to want to do their best to try and contest that. But if Camille is just split pushing in the side lane, she can threaten that inhibitor turret and then either force Shyvana's team to deal with her, and she can escape relatively easily with hookshot as well. So either force Shyvana's team to deal with her or lose the dragon. And it just looks like they're going for a complete map split right now. Aurelion Sol going for the dive in.
Wow, they actually get them immediately. Down goes Akali like it was absolutely nothing. And now they're on the retreat. Looks like Aurelion Sol having Pops' Stasis is going to drop right after that. Oh, the Olaf is on the hunt, trying to jump on their opponent here. The GA is popped for Kaisa. Can they get the kill? In comes another member to try to help things out. But, well, looks like actually the Shyvana, that was the one who jumped in, but doesn't matter because the Nexus goes down anyway. And that is game one going over to Aether Rift.
Yeah, and again, I just think this game was kind of like a little bit difficult for CHAKAIMOOK to get into from the very start. They initiated that lane swap, then they just swapped back. And like you said, it might have been the case that they were expecting a lane swap, and so therefore just swapped back afterwards. But the problem is, if you do that, you lose so much early experience and early gold. And you just saw that they were behind in levels and got tower dived. And it really felt like there was, even from the get-go, it was very difficult for CHAKAIMOOK to get into this game. And Aether Rift just had a control of it from the very start.
You know, having just come back from a tennis tournament, I kind of look at this game and like in terms of a tennis match, right? If this is a best of 5, like it seems like, or best of 7 maybe,